So you mentioned jobs
right
in your speech, and you said that you would veto any legislation that didn't have a jobs component. Can you clarify that and expand on that,
There's been
please?
a lot of what I would call games playing in the legislature, where they do actions that either don't produce jobs, don't improve our economy, or actually tear it down. And that's what I'm talking about. We don't need to have legislation about how long the yellow lights stay yellow. We don't need legislation about other, for example, and I support the Declaration of Independence, but they passed a bill saying that every school child had to read the first 3 lines of the Declaration at the beginning of every school day. Well, that's for the local school boards to do, not for our legislature. Our legislature needs to focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's getting Arizona out of this mess, economic mess that we're in today. And I want to enforce that, because we're not going to succeed, we're not going to get back on the upward trail if we continue to divide ourselves with silly political parlor games.
Are you looking to add private sector jobs or government jobs?
This is all private sector. We don't have the money for more government jobs. That's just not going to happen.
Okay. 1070 has been a big issue, and the accompanying bill, that went with that. Would you withdraw the state of Arizona from 1070 if you were elected?
Well, 1070 is going to play out in the courts. Half of it has been declared unconstitutional by a federal judge. So that issue is now a legal issue. It's going to be in the courtroom. It seems to me what Arizona's got to find is some other solutions. I think number one is border security. And that's what I've been doing as Attorney General, is going after the cartels, trying to grab their assets, cut off their money. And we need to do more of that, because that's where our real future security lies. And the second one is, I think we've got to get everybody on the same page and to follow the same rules that are here. You can't have an illegal workforce and a legal workforce. So that means either we get Congress serious about non-amnesty immigration reform, which would be my number one choice. Number two would be Arizona could do a pilot project. We have a history of going our own, and we might be able to do a way to make people that are here working in the economy, make them legal through a worker permit. It seems to me that would work out.
Are you concerned about some of the federal legislation that's come down, for instance, the health care bill and stuff, that's going to add a lot of tax burdens to small businesses?
Well, I'm concerned for small business. The health care reform was not perfect, and one of the reasons it's not perfect is that opposition in the Senate basically just tried to kill it. They didn't try to make it better. I think a lot of reform to healthcare reform has got to come in the future. There's some things I really like. The no pre-existing condition is a good step. I think keeping kids on their parents' policies until 26 is a good step. I think the extra support, moving healthcare to 133% of poverty, is a good step. And Arizona saves over $2 billion over the next 10 years with healthcare reform. So we actually benefit as well. But the small business impact I'm very concerned about. I've read about some of the paperwork that's required. That's nonsense. Some of the extra burdens that it puts on small mom and pop operations, frankly, is untenable, and I think it's got to be changed.
Are you supportive of the medical marijuana initiative?
I'm not, but because I think law enforcement needs to take a stand here. I want to see legitimate pain medication dispensed by physicians. That's something I do support very strongly. But what we've seen in other states, especially California, is a willy-nilly expansion of the use, which, frankly, I don't think is justified. And as a law enforcement officer, I do not support it.
Mm-hmm. Any other last comments or discussion about initiatives?
Great to be in Prescott.
Okay.